really wanted to love this show because it combines two things that I love the most, and that is theater and music. However, after I went to check it out during the previews, I left the theater feeling a little bit like this could have been more impactful. And you might disagree if you've seen the show, and I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm going to take you on my journey of things that I loved about Stereophonic, as well as the things that I enjoyed a little bit less. So let's start. Stereophonic is the latest Broadway to West End transfer that everyone was super eagerly anticipating, because this is the show that got nominated for 13 Tony Awards. It is classified as a play rather than a musical, although it has a lot of music and it has its own soundtrack, so it's something in between. Honestly, I thought initially that it's a musical, but in total maybe there are like 5-6 really great musical numbers. So this is the story about a fictional band that is a combination of American and English musicians who are trying to create their next studio album, and the whole set is this studio. It is set in the 70s, and the whole premise of the story is basically this group of people coming together to create something that they're proud of. However, as with any creative journey, this isn't the straight line, and the show starts with pretty high spirits. Everyone is really excited to start working on their next album. There is a lot of positive energy in the studio. However, as the show progresses, there are more and more issues that are predominantly of personal nature, but that are heavily impacting their creative output. And this is kind of the biggest tension in the show, which is kind of how these personal relationships and things that all these musicians are going through in their personal lives impacting their creativity and just the music making journey. So I really see that this is the show that every music lover will indulge in and enjoy, because it is very much an ode to music creation, especially in this particular time in the 70s when music was having a slightly different beat, and not literally in terms of the beat, but I think 70s and the music scene in the 70s, it was just something different in the air compared to nowadays. So that is the reason why the creators of the show have set it in this particular time when a lot of exciting new artists, bands, and new sound was kind of being something that was driving the music industry pretty much. If you enjoyed stories such as Daisy Jones and the Six, or the latest biopic about Bob Dylan, then you are gonna love this show, because it really captures a lot of the almost documentaries that were done around music creation during this time. So let's start first with positives that I really enjoyed about this show. I think that set design is incredible. It is pretty much a full-blown music studio on stage, and it is so cleverly designed that the actual studio is on a bit like elevated platform, and the engineering room is slightly lower. So basically you can see this two-dimensional space where the sound engineers are on one side and then the band is inside behind the glass. So it's like a booth where people normally record music. And the fascinating thing about this show is that they are actually all playing instruments and are recording these sounds as it goes. But I'm gonna get to that in a second. I just think when it comes to the visual aspect of the show, it is so real, it is so beautiful. Set design is definitely something that it really caught my attention, and I really loved it, and I think it really helped with bringing this story to life in the most real way. Stereophonic has definitely assembled a cast of incredible actors, because not only do they need to act in this show, they do need to play instruments, and they need to sing as well, and they need to be able to also record all of this and kind of be very skilled with the equipment on the stage. So this adds another layer to their craft, and honestly I think that they all gel so well together, and then when you see them as a group of 5, you really feel like they are that band that you came to see record their studio album. And similarly goes for the sound engineers. They are the ones who are delivering a lot of humorous lines, and those sound engineers are slightly closer to the audience because they are almost observers as well of this band that is on stage. Another thing that I really enjoyed is music. So as mentioned, this is set in the 70s, so the sound is very much like that, and there are about 5 to 6 songs that are played fully on stage, and I love them. They are definitely the kind of songs that you would want to go and check out the soundtrack afterwards. Also, you can tell that the person who's written them is a veteran of composing and writing music, because these songs are written by Will Butler, who used to be in the indie rock band Arcade Fire, and they just are amazing. It was definitely one of the things that I was really impressed by, especially because they are performing these songs in that recording booth, and then we are getting the sound, which is pretty much raw sound of how they're singing and playing. And obviously there is sound engineering that goes into it, but it is crystal clear. It is incredible. And these songs are done from the beginning till the end on stage in front of you by these people who are actors and musicians. And I think there was probably every time the pinnacle of the show when you would hear these songs and when you would witness these performers deliver them on stage. So given that this is a story about music creation, it is good that the music of the show is really worth a listen and that it's really that glue that holds these different elements of the storyline together. And I think that the music floats in a very nice way. You get this music relief every now and then because this is a play ultimately, so there's a lot of dialogue, there is a lot of things that are happening around that music, and there was part of me that actually wanted this to be a musical. I really wanted to hear more of that music rather than maybe certain chats and things like that. So after all of these things that I really enjoyed, which are pretty significant elements of the show, you might ask the question, well, what did you not like then? From my personal perspective, I felt that it's a bit too long and that it's kind of like unnecessarily that long. I felt that there were some really strong elements of storytelling, but that a lot of the times I felt like I'm just a fly on the wall. And while that is the purpose of the show, it is all about bringing the audience closer to this process of creating music and doing something with a group of people who are your bandmates and capturing this particular time in the music industry. At the same time, I feel like that there were elements of the show where I really wanted to leave because it just dragged. It was just too long. The pauses were almost making you feel uncomfortable. And again, I do understand that from the perspective of this recording journey being uncomfortable and how dynamics change between people, making things more uncomfortable, fine, like I'm okay to sit with that feeling as the audience member, but I feel that sometimes it just went for too long, which made the message of the show a little bit more diluted. It made it a little bit more hard to grasp, not in a sense because it's so big and revolutionary, but because it's like very modest. I don't think that the story of the show is groundbreaking. In fact, it's something that we've seen before. Two people fall in love within the band, another couple also within the band, and then they argue and that impacts the band. Like, it's not the story that we haven't heard before. It's Fleetwood Mac all over again. So when it comes to bringing something new to this storyline, I think that they have done that through the set design, through the use of music and the sound, and all of these elements were really great, as I mentioned. But when it comes to the actual story, I kind of like left the theater thinking, well, what is it that I need to take away with me? And bear in mind that this comes from the person who has been in that process on my own. I had bands in the past, like I felt that this is going to be the show that I'm gonna love because of how close I am to the world of music creation and creative pursuit from that perspective. But that wasn't the case, and I wish I could say that I want to go see this show again, but honestly I just don't think that I can sit in the theater for another 3.5 hours. So the final verdict for Stereophonic is that it is a show worth seeing if you are into music, if you are into this particular era of music and just curious to see how this whole set, sound, and music design has been delivered in the show. But if you're a theater goer who likes a bit more dynamic show and you really need something to have a bigger resolution at the end, this show might leave you feeling a little bit flat. You have plenty of time to see this show because it's on at the Duke of York's Theatre until beginning of October, and tickets go for as low as £25. If you're wondering how to secure cheap tickets in London for the shows that you want to see, then check out this video where I'm talking about my favorite ways to find the best deals.